Welcome to the Black Church Action Fund's educational training. My name is Crystal Knight and I'll be your lead trainer. Today, we will discuss voter registration and why it is important during an election cycle. Today, we will learn the best practices for voter registration, where to go to find voter registration information, and how to properly register voters. Why voter registration? We want to register as many voters as possible because we want to turn out as many people to vote. We want to register people to vote because we want to expand the electorate in our respective district. Voter registration is an easy way to meet new voters. What are some of the other reasons why we participate in voter registration? Understanding the rules in your state is paramount. Every single state has different voter registration rules. Visit your local election commission and familiarize yourself with your state's election laws. Remember, there is no charge for voter registration forms, and it does not cost a person to register to vote. If an individual or organization wishes to obtain 50 or more voter registration forms, they must complete the voter registration card statement of distribution. But remember, this is very specific to your state. Before you get started with your voter registration effort, you want to first identify a team. When you're identifying your team, the questions that you want to ask yourself: number 1, who will be the point of contact? Number 2, who is the person responsible for picking up the blank voter registration forms from the Election Commission? Number 3, is there a team of people who will administer the voter registration process? Number 4, who is the person that will be in charge of all materials? Number 5, is there a person that will be responsible for the bringing of snacks? And number 6, what else? Are there people who will be floaters or extra hands during the voter registration effort? Also, before you get started, identify a location. Number 1, is it accessible to everyone? Is it ADA compliant? Number 2, is the location a high visibility location? Meaning, will there be lots of foot traffic, lots of people who will be able to pass by this location and view the voter registration happening in real time? Number 3 is safety. Is it a safe environment to hold a voter registration drive? Number 4, is parking readily available? Number 5, is the business establishment okay with you holding your voter registration drive there? And number 6, what else? What are some other things that you can identify about a location before you get started? Setting up your voter registration drive. Before you set up your voter registration drive, you want to publicize the event. Here are a few ways you can publicize the event. You can identify pre-registrants before the event takes place. You can create a flyer or an ad and place it on all of your social media platforms and send it out via email. Finally, you can publicize the event in the location where the voter registration drive is taking place. If there is a bulletin, post your flyer so that you can get more people to attend your event. Also, don't rule out word of mouth or SMS text messaging. People often respond quickly to a text message before they would to a phone call. You want to publicize your event up to 2 weeks before the event takes place to ensure you have the highest level of capacity of people who attend the event and participate in the voter registration drive. Things to remember. Ask people if they are registered to vote. If not, offer the person a voter registration form. Ask if they know anyone who is not registered to vote. If they do, offer the person a form. Encourage voters to mail their own forms back. No stamp is necessary. Return postage is paid by the Secretary of State. Instruct people to use black or blue ink when completing a form. All voter registration forms must be accurate and complete and legible. Make sure people understand the voter registration forms should be completed by the voter unless assistance is necessary. In the case of assistance, there is a box on the voter registration form that the voter should check or the person who assisted the voter should check. Make a distribution plan for the voter registration forms. And finally, remember, there are no fees that can be charged for registering a person to vote. Direct any questions regarding voter registration or elections to the local election commission. Filling out the voter registration form. The graphic displays a sample voter registration form from the state of Maryland. Under the General Information section, the voter should fill out their name, date of completion, name of organization, street address, state, zip code, along with their telephone number. Under the section, Proposed Method of Distribution, choose at least one method of distribution. Provide a brief explanation of the distribution plan. In the Declaration section, the voter must read and acknowledge this section. The PowerPoint presentation must be dated with the date it was viewed. Under the Signature section, the voter must sign the voter registration form, signifying that they are the person completing the form. Serial numbers will be filled out by the election office. It is not necessary for the voter to complete this section. Do not use a pencil. The voter registration form will not be counted as valid. Do not refuse to give a person a voter registration form because of their party preference. Voter registration is a nonpartisan effort. Do not highlight or make any marks on the voter registration form. This could be a reason to disqualify the form. Do not attempt to answer questions except to explain how to complete the voter registration form. For example, if a voter asks whom they should vote for, you should not answer this question. Again, voter registration is a nonpartisan effort. Do not give voter registration forms to other people or organizations who have not been authorized to distribute the forms by the elections office. Remember, you are solely responsible for the registration forms that are assigned to you. Eligibility. In order to participate in the voter registration process, a voter must be a citizen of the United States of America. The voter must reside in your state. Per state law, the voter must be at least 16 years old to pre-register and 18 years old on or before Election Day to vote in the upcoming election in order to register to vote. Also, per the direction of your state, a voter who is on parole or who has been convicted of a felony is not allowed to register to vote. However, check your state's jurisdiction to determine the voter's eligibility. Re-registering a person to vote. Many people are unfamiliar if their voter registration is current. In this case, you might have to re-register a person to vote. If this is the case, here is the eligibility for re-registering a person to vote. The voter must be a United States citizen. The voter must have never registered to vote in the respective county. If the voter has moved, It is simply a change of address, and that should be denoted on the voter registration form. If a person got married or changed their name, they might want to re-register to vote with their updated name change. If a person wishes to change their political party, then they should re-register to vote. Finally, if the person is unsure if they are registered, encourage them to re-register to vote. Reviewing completed voter registration forms. This process is critical to making sure that voter registration forms are accurate, legible, and complete. Check to make sure every box is completed correctly before the voter leaves your site. Make sure the form is dated properly. Make sure the form is signed by the voter. If you or another person assisted the voter in filling out the form, then you must also sign the voter registration form, and it depends on the jurisdiction of where you live. Return the form to the county elections office or the Secretary of State within the designated number of days determined by your respective state. Mailed forms must be postmarked on or before the 15th day prior to an election to be eligible to vote in the upcoming election. Again, check with your state's election commission to determine the final date of eligibility. And finally, as you're reviewing completed voter registration forms, remember, you are ultimately responsible for the forms that were issued to you. It is important to follow up with the voter just in case there were errors on the voter registration form, or if you desire to keep the voter engaged throughout the election process. Here are a few ways you can properly follow up. Check to make sure every box is completed correctly. Keep track of the names, addresses, and telephone numbers of everyone you register by creating a spreadsheet or by photocopying the registration cards where permissible by law. Again, check with your state's election commission to determine if this is permissible. You can also ask the voter to fill out a sign-in sheet or a pledge card to receive upcoming information about the election. Following up is key with voters to provide helpful information about voting, members of your team, and a way to maintain accurate records about your voter registration drives. As you get closer to Election Day, following up is critical because it helps to get new registrants out to vote by directing them to polling place locations and providing them with other critical election information. Ultimately, as you continue your follow-up, please mind the Election Commission information in your respective state. Now that you've gone through this training, please take a moment to review the questions and test your learning. Thank you for watching the Black Church Action Fund's educational training on voter registration. As we get closer to the election day, we hope that you will incorporate the practices learned today.